I have made quite a few videos talking about driving for Uber and actually driving for Uber on this channel. I've had some amazing moments. Oh, baby, finally. And some not amazing moments. And the rider just canceled. However, Uber has been the best side hustle that I have worked on since I got into the gig economy all the way back when I was doing Grubhub and DoorDash back in 2022. But I am not the only person in this world, and there have been ample amounts of complaints against Uber, and deservedly so. So today, let's answer the question, is driving for Uber worth it in 2024? What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. My name's Keen if you're brand new, pronounced Key in. And really quickly, I want you guys to comment down below, what are some more video ideas, topics, things of discussion that you would like to see on this YouTube channel? It can be challenges, it can be sitting down and talking videos like these where I give you some honest advice or criticism on something. And do you want me to keep making videos about Uber exclusively, or do you want me to make more videos outside of Uber in the gig economy like DoorDash and Instacart? Let me know down there in the comments below. And on top of that as well, please tap that subscribe button. Guys, we are almost to 10,000 subscribers, and I would really love it if you guys joined the Cool Kids Club today. Okay, so let's answer the question. And don't worry, if you're looking for a too long, didn't watch version of this video, I have timestamps for that. So go find it somewhere in the timestamps, wherever I put it, as to if driving for Uber is actually worth it in 2024 for those who just have no attention span. I feel ya. But for everybody who actually wants a detailed answer to this question and to figure out more diversively if Uber is going to be worth it for you, we have to break down a few questions to actually ask yourselves. Questions like, what is your purpose in actually driving for Uber? What is your supply and demand in your market? What are your costs? And what options is Uber actually giving you in allowing you to drive? Let's break down and start that first question. What is your purpose when it actually comes to driving for Uber? Are you just trying to make some extra cash on top of your 9-to-5 by doing this part-time? Well, then you have a lot of factors to get into. On top of the factors that we'll talk about in this video, you have to factor in the time of day. The time of day that you're actually going to work and drive for Uber is going to be massively different. If you're going to do it very early in the morning, you might be able to catch that early morning rush where people themselves are trying to get to work. If you're doing it very late in the day/night, then you might either catch a lot of people coming home from work, or if it's not as busy of a day, you might just be out of luck and not really get any rides at all. And if you're working full-time, well, we're going to have a lot of factors still to talk about, but how many hours can you actually dedicate into a full-time work week? Is it 40 hours? That's going to be your absolute limit that you can dedicate to driving for Uber? Can you do more, like 50, 60, maybe if you're crazy, even 70 plus hours of driving for Uber? Hey, people do it. They got bills to pay. I respect the hustle. But in order to actually figure out if Uber is going to be worth it for you, you have to figure out the purpose as to what you're actually going to use Uber for. Is it going to be a filler app where you just try to make some cash? Or is it going to be your main all-around app that you want to make money from? You want this to essentially be your full-time job. And if that's the case for you, please be careful and have backup options, because remember, Uber is its own company, and at any point in time, they can snap their fingers and poof, you're gone. A lot of the times it isn't fair, but with Uber, it doesn't have to be. It's their game that they're playing. Okay, question number 2. What is the supply and demand like in your market? Do you have lots of supply, aka drivers? Do you have a lot of drivers who are willing to go out and drive for Uber in your market, and very low demand? Not a lot of people who actually need rides for Uber in their market? Guess what? You're basically out of luck. If you have really low supply and really low demand, then you're going to struggle, because you're essentially just going to have to take anything that's thrown at you by Uber. If you don't have a lot of people who need rides, despite the fact of whether or not there are a lot of drivers out there, then you're just not going to get a lot of offers. You're going to sit around and wait, and hopefully those rides will be worth it for you, but more likely than not, you're essentially at Uber's will. If you have high supply and high demand, then chances are everybody's fighting for those best rides, and Uber's going to prioritize their quote-unquote best drivers, at least most likely when it comes to things like the highest acceptance rates, whoever has the highest tiers, and Uber's acceptance rate and rewards points program with gold and platinum and diamond, and you're likely not going to get the best paying rides, and chances are you're going to get the lowest paying offers that Uber is willing to send you, albeit you might be getting a lot of them, you just won't be getting really good rides at all. However, the absolute sweet spot when it comes to markets is having low supply, not as many drivers as a lot of other markets, and having high demand. That means that you will have a lot more flexibility and you'll be able to get good paying offers most of the time without having to fight with 300 other drivers around you. And this is going to vary market per market. I mean, you have markets like Los Angeles where there are tons of drivers, but there's also tons of demand. A lot of people need to get around in places like Los Angeles. So you'll probably not have very good high paying offers in cities that are very high populated and high density. Whereas in my hometown of Sarah, Pennsylvania, which most of you probably don't even know exists, but it's a real place, I promise you, good luck getting anything most likely. And if you do, that's probably all you're going to get. You might get 1 or 2 offers per hour. If you get that, consider yourself lucky, because I can imagine it just being an area where nobody really needs Uber and nobody is really driving for Uber because of it. Okay, question number 3. What are your costs when it comes to driving for Uber? Now, costs can be a multitude of different things. The biggest cost you're probably going to have is your vehicle, your car. Did you already pay for the car? Is the car already paid off? Did you pay for it in cash? Hey, that's great. That's a huge expense that you don't have to worry about that a lot of drivers do. Because chances are your car is either financed, like mine was, I went the financing route, or maybe you even have like a leased agreement. Maybe it's through Uber. I know a lot of Uber drivers do like the Hertz Tesla rental program. I have nothing to do with that, and I kind of don't recommend it depending on your market, because it's pretty expensive for not the best return on investment, but I don't know, that's up to you. Another thing you have to worry about too is gas. Is your car very gas efficient? Does your car need gas at all? Do you have an electric vehicle? That's a big chunk of money that a lot of Uber drivers consistently complain about, and a lot of just drivers in the gig economy complain about. And another big cost that a lot of people have to deal with is food, because as much as I would love to say it, let's be real here, not everybody is packing their lunches like we probably should be. So chances are a lot of you are probably eating out during the middle of the day. Maybe you're getting your morning and afternoon coffee on top of that. And those are expenses that you have to worry about and add into your total net pay for the day. But to be honest, all of those other factors don't really matter as much as this one. What options does Uber actually give you to make money, and in what ways do they give it to you? So for example, Uber has recently in the last few years transitioned their pay model from having to pay by mileage structure, where they don't show you the upfront price, you just get paid by the amount of miles or minutes you have to drive for the ride. They've now changed that to upfront pricing in a majority of markets. So if you have upfront pricing, then you don't really have as statistical of options when it comes to how you can break down your expenses and the mileage, the dollars to mile ratio. So you have to kind of do that on a ride by ride basis. But after a few rides, you'll generally figure out if Uber is paying you enough for the rides that you're taking. But it's a lot easier to figure out if Uber isn't giving you those upfront offers, and you can actually figure it out by just looking through the statistics after the ride with the mileage statistics. And Uber will tell you how much they're paying you per mile driven for the ride and per minute driven for the ride. And that's a great way for you to figure out if you're going to even make enough money driving for Uber in 2024. My rule of thumb for both of those is that you generally want to hit at least $1.50 per mile, nothing lower than $1 per mile for sure. But you also have to factor in the dollars to time ratio. I mean, you can have a really good dollars to mile ratio, but a lot of rides might not be worth it if it's going to take too much time, or it's going to take too much time for the amount that you're getting paid for it at the end of the day. But in terms of options, a lot of drivers only have UberX as their baseline option. In fact, you might only have UberX as your baseline option when it comes to driving for Uber. When I started, I only had UberX. However, your market may have more opportunities for you to make money depending on the car that you actually have. So if you have a larger vehicle that can fit more than just the standard 5 people in a single vehicle, then you might be eligible for things like Uber XL or Uber Black SUV or Uber Premier SUV, depending on your market. And if you have what Uber considers a luxury vehicle, then you might also qualify for Uber Premier or Uber Black, again, depending on your market. But there are lesser known options like Uber Comfort and Uber Comfort Electric that can also be slightly better paying than the baseline Uber X. And those are things where you might not get as many options for those rides, admittedly, but they generally pay much better than just the standard Uber X. So it's worth it to see if you can actually get any of those other options in your market in 2024. So for everybody who actually made it to this part of the video by watching through the entire video, for starters, thank you for watching. But for everybody else that just skipped to this portion of the video because I marked it in the timestamps, here's the too long didn't watch explanation for you. Look, driving for Uber can be one of the most lucrative side hustle options that you have in your arsenal in your market. But there can also be major drawbacks depending on your market, your car, your availability, and all of the market factors that come along with treating Uber like a part-time or full-time job. But with everything I've listed out today, me personally, do I think driving for Uber is worth it? Absolutely. Not only do I obviously have many more benefits than a lot of you guys have, but I have an absolute blast driving for Uber. I get to drive people around and I get to learn things about these people that I never would have learned. I get to talk to people in a way where I feel like I have strong ways of learning about the world. And it's fascinating to see people from all walks of life enlighten me on the rest of the world that I have yet to explore. But I have a very slanted version of what's worth it for me in my market, and it's definitely not going to be the same as what's worth it for you in your market. So experiment, do your research, try things out, and see if it's going to be worth it for you in 2024. But I want to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comments below, has driving for Uber been worth it for you in 2024? And how has it been in comparison to recent years in your market? Have things changed massively? Have they not changed at all? Let me know in the comments below. And again, also, please remember to hit that subscribe button. We are so close to 10,000 subscribers. We're currently sitting at just over 9,000 subscribers, and I am so excited for when we are able to hit that milestone. So please join us alongside the Kool Kids adventure. We really appreciate it. And if you guys would like to see another video of what driving for Uber during the Super Bowl was like, check that video out over there, because let me tell you, it is wildly different than what I've seen of a lot of other people's experience with the Super Bowl is, and I think you guys are going to love it. And that's going to be all from me, guys. So with all that said and done, stay cool.